the autopilot system up here. Okay. Autopilot 1, autopilot 2, auto throttle, auto thrust. So, see this dynamometer starting to come down now? So it means we're approaching our 3-degree glide slope. Right. So we have to land slowly, so we have to slow down. See the 138 down the bottom of the speed tape? Yep. That is our approach speed right at the end. But to do that, we've got to extend some pilot devices here, the flaps. So I'm going to start extending those now. Yep. So, to flap 1.
From a pilot's perspective, how close is this in feeling to the real experience?
Oh, really close. As close as you can get, David. Yep. It really is. They've designed these to actually build that into it, and as you said, you can actually sense when the flaps are coming out. You know, your visual senses are so powerful that you actually start to imagine, even though the aircraft, this simulator isn't moving, but the visuals are moving, and you feel like you're actually in the real thing. And the truth is, having a lot of hours on the A320, this is as real as you can get.
Yep.
Oh yeah, it's for real.
Yeah. It works. How many years have you been flying?
This is 41, my 41st year. I started in 1979, so that's quite a long time, isn't it?
So simulators back then, I mean, there weren't any?
No, well, there were some very basic ones, very basic ones, but I've been operating in simulators since about 1985.
Right.
Yeah, thereabouts, yeah. They're pretty fundamental then.
Yep. And they've just gradually increased in authenticity since then.
Yeah, absolutely. As I say, we can do full auto lands in these airplanes now. We do them in the simulator as well. They have to be authentic because we get a lot of approvals in the simulator by the regulator, CASA, which will authorise us to go out on the line, if you like, line flying for the first time and just fly the aircraft. So CASA would not authorise the simulator unless it was real. Unless it had that authenticity with it.
So you can brush up or get acquainted, for want of a better word, with an aircraft fully in the simulator, and the first time you fly it is when you have a payload of passengers.
Yeah, yeah. We do a full endorsement session, a full endorsement in the simulator. We take some weeks to do that, and then the first time you will fly the airplane is on a passenger flight. Absolutely. Yep. People call that retard. Okay. Yep. That means you've just got to close the thrust lever just straight back. Right. Okay. So I'll get you to do that. Sure. I'll remind you. Yep. Then we have to let reverse thrust when we're on the ground. That's these two.
Is it still a buzz after all that time when you sit down and you're about to take off?
Absolutely. And particularly takeoffs and landings. Yeah, I think every pilot would say that. It doesn't matter how many hours you've got under your belt or in the logbook. Yeah, it's still a thrill. Absolutely. It's the actually act of flying. Yeah. That's the thrill. Absolutely. 1,000. That'll be approach speed. The thrust will increase automatically to hold you on 138. Do it by itself. See the runway out there?
I was amazed. Pilots don't seem to have a lot to do with the passengers themselves. I mean, you're sort of on the plane long before they get on. You're on the plane, I presume, long after they've gotten off. Is that weird that you're flying a plane load of passengers, but you really don't meet them? You don't even see them. Is that a weird thing?
It's an interesting perspective, and as a matter of fact, I'm glad you raised that, because that's something we have to, I guess, educate the younger pilots to comprehend, that it's not just us. We actually got 180 people back there on an A320, or maybe 300 people sitting back there on a 787 or an A330. Yep. So because we've got the flight deck door sitting there, sometimes we do feel somewhat removed from them, but we try to make sure that we are looking after them at all times and communicate as much as we can. Yeah. There's no question about it. Yeah. And sometimes I actually said to the younger trainees, just open the flight deck door and go for a walk and have a look, because all those people are there relying on us to do the right thing and to do it well, and they're the reason we're here. Yeah, they're the reason we're doing what we do and all the procedures we adopt for that purpose, safe flight for everybody. So yes, I do get them to go and have a look sometimes, and just have a look at the people there and realise that that's our whole purpose, really.
50, 30, 10 retard. Retard.
And reverse thrust all the way. That's it. Autopilot still has it. Still controlling down the centre line. At 70 knots. When you see 70 knots, it will reduce the thrust back to the reverse side, about halfway.
What's the scariest situation that you've found yourself in as a pilot?
Well, I did have one uncontrollable engine fire back in about 1985. Yeah, so I'm a member of a very rare club of pilots, I guess, around the globe, and we did have a problem in an old aircraft back in the 80s, yes.
When you say uncontrollable, you mean so you couldn't just flick a switch and it's extinguished?
Well, we had an engine fire, and we fired one extinguisher into it, and then we fired the second one into it, and it still didn't go out.
Wow.
So it was a case of landing as soon as possible, and we landed at Proserpine that night.
With the convoy of fire department trucks chasing you?
Yeah, yeah, that's right. The fire services came out from Proserpine, from the township out to the airport to meet us to address that. But basically there was a bearing failure in the propeller reduction gearbox, which caused it to melt essentially and caught fire.
Wow.
Yeah, it did. So that's probably another story, that one. Very rare though. Yeah. Very rare.
Good to just show you what can happen.
That's right. And all the training, the fantastic training we get in this country is just comes to bear when that happens.
Yep.
And that's what we did. Yeah. Set the park brake here so it doesn't go anywhere, so lift that, turn that clockwise to there.
Yep.
And release. And here we are, here.
Go.
Oh.
We made
Yeah, very much.
Woo!
You can see the hardest part's on the ground.
That's right. That is very precise, isn't it?
Yeah.